opinions expressed on the Custody Queen Show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal, professional legal advice. The persons discussed are fictional and not based on actual clients.
Thought it was love, had kids in between. You can count on us, we're the Custody Queens. Yeah, you can count on us, we're the Custody Queens.
Welcome back, everybody, to Custody Queens. You can tell I'm not Kristen and I'm not Sam. I'm Carrie Block, but I'm here again to help out the Custody Queens.
And we're super excited to have Carrie because this is like a very conversational episode. We want to answer questions that we haven't been able to get to in the past episodes because we get so many questions and emails, which we love. So keep them coming. And we also thought we'd throw in just a couple tough questions so that, you know, our listeners can continue to get to know us as humans outside of being attorneys. You know, we're also, Carrie and I are moms. Sam's a dog mom. But, you know, we're actually people that, you know, are real. So we want you to get to know us.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm just going to jump right in and ask Kristen a really hard question.
All right.
Because, you know, any opportunity I have to make Kristen feel a little awkward. All right. So, Kristen, what are you still trying to prove to yourself?
Oh, man, that is a loaded question. I think that I'm still trying to prove to myself that I can be as successful in my career as I want to be while simultaneously being the best mom I can. And I know we've talked a lot about this on the show, and you know what my answer is? It's impossible. But I'm going to continue proving to myself that I can do it, and I have to give myself more grace than I give myself and more patience. And I think it's just possible, but it's at different levels of life. So when my kids are excelling and I'm super involved, and I am a very involved mom, you know, sometimes your career takes a little bit of a hit and vice versa. And so I'm trying to figure out that balance, and I am nowhere near getting it right, but I'm trying. So I think I'm trying to prove to myself that I can have it all, I can do it all, and I can make everybody happy at the same time.
I think that's just life in general. It's you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the exact same time. So today, I used to look back, and my kids are much older, and say, God, I was a great mom today, but I wasn't a great attorney because I spent so much time being a mom. But tomorrow I might be a great attorney and let the kids go. And the thing I've realized with my daughters who are in their mid to late 20s, God, I hate saying that, but they don't look back and remember those times that I wasn't there. They remember the times when I was on the soccer field or at the dance competition and at all their things and volunteering at school. And they don't remember the times that I wasn't there, that I felt the guilt because I was in court or doing something. But I also think that as a mom, at least for me of two girls, I showed to them that you can have a career and be a good mom, so they both have followed in those footsteps. And I think you're doing a great job showing your kids that they can do those things.
Thank you, because the mom guilt is real. And, you know, now my kids are getting older. It's not as easy where I can, you know, say, hey, can you take, you know, my baby for a few hours? It's literally just scheduling 3 kids at 3 different times and 3 different people. But you can, and Carrie's exactly right. It just can't be at the same time. And I get so many people that DM me and ask me how I do it. I don't want you to think that I live in this fantasy Instagram world, you know, with a filter, because I struggle all the time, just like you guys. And there are moments of weakness where I'm crying in my closet just because I want 20 minutes to myself. And then there's days where I am absolutely killing it, you know, in my career. And then there's days where I just get to spend a day in a cabin with my babies and realize how blessed I am. So, you know,
And one of the biggest differences is you and I were in happy marriages raising our kids, and a lot of our listeners are having to do this on their own, and I empathize when they are sitting there and trying to work and trying to deal with the kids and don't necessarily have a partner that's as cooperative and helpful as we were lucky enough to have spouses that were there to pick up the slack.
I agree. I have so much empathy for single parents because it's hard enough with 2, and if you're going through the separation process and once your emotions kind of settle down, you have to rely on the other parent and you have to make it work because it's really, really tough on your own. It's tough with 2 parents. But Sam, I would love to know if there's anything that you're trying to prove to yourself.
Before we get to that, I want to comment on both Carrie and Kristen. Because my take on this question was more, I get where you're going. I knew you were going to say that. But I think that what you really have to prove to yourself is you have nothing else to prove. You are doing it all right now.
No,
right?
I have so much to prove. I want custody queens to go to the next level. I want my kids to be engaged. You know, I want everything to be perfection.
And it will be.
And you know what? I'm just trying to remember that in the dark moments, this too shall pass. And in the happy ones, to really, really be present. And it doesn't care if your kids don't care if your hair isn't colored or what you're wearing. You know, they just want.
Well, wait till they're teenagers, then they care.
I remember sneaking my mom's, makeup and clothes at about 12, and Riley's already. We went to Vegas for a soccer tournament, and I literally were in line for a restaurant. And she has her Lululemon backpack that my mom got her for Christmas, and I look, and she's hiding behind me with her, her little bestie Coral, and she's got all my makeup in her purse, and they're doing it in the line for the restaurant, hiding. And I'm like looking over, going, "That's my Dior mascara. That's this stuff is not cheap." And I just said, you go, girl. You want to wear red lipstick and. Vegas, baby.
Yeah, right. What happens in Vegas?
And then you all come home sick.
Yeah, true.
All right, so I have a question from Janice from Culver City, and we haven't been able to answer it, and this is something I thought would be really good for us. So, Janet, hello, and I'm going to read your question. Kristen and Sam, I need your help. When my ex-husband found out I was having an affair, he became very verbally abusive. Our safe supposedly was broken into and everything was taken, even my birth certificate and passport, along with my valuable jewelry. He filed a police report for the incident. I believe he had this set up. The reason being is that he had the code for the safe. I just don't buy that everything I had was stolen. How do I prove that this was a setup? This so-called robbery happened right after he found out about the affair, and I hadn't filed separation paperwork. Help, please tell me what I can do.
Carrie, the listeners are waiting.
Well, I would really want to delve deeper with this person, because her first line, I think, was that he's become abusive. And I think there's more to this story than she's letting on. And when someone is abusive, a lot of times an abused spouse, male or female, doesn't want to admit it and get into details. So I'm concerned about her safety, and I think she needs to talk to an attorney about more details than just a safe. I think the safe might be just kind of an overlay on what she's comfortable talking about, especially writing into a radio show, but there might be more there to her story that she needs the protection of a restraining order or something like that.
Yeah, agreed. And if Janice, if you were to hire us or have a consult, I mean, there's things I would do. Take his deposition, just like Carrie said, explore the issue of any domestic violence that was occurring. Was there insurance on any of the items? Birth certificate, you can get a certified copy on, just going to the recorder's office, or I think there's a couple websites that can do it for you. What was the value of the jewelry? Was any of it insured? But I agree. There's two different steps. There's one, the missing property, and then, I think there's more to the story with the abuse. And I'm happy, Carrie, Sam, or I are happy to discuss this further with you. We do handle LA cases, so this is something that would be right up our alley. You can call us at 1-800-419-7772. That's 1-800-419-7772.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. It's Cynthia from Eagle Rock. Hi, Custody Queens. I was hoping you can answer my question. I'm trying to get child support modified because I know my ex has money. They've always said it's his new wife's money, but I know it's not. Right before we went to court, she filed separation paperwork. Is there any way to prove the money is his, or that his new wife's finances play a part in the spousal support arrangement? Thanks, and I listen every week.
All right, Carrie, you're up.
I'm up again. So, was it child or spousal? Because I thought at first you said child, but then...
Child support.
Okay. So child is always modifiable, and when she's referring to money, my question is she referring to money in the bank or income to him? If it's income to him, then it is available to pay support. If it's income to his new spouse that she's working or doing some job where she's getting a W-2 and the money's paid to her, then it's not necessarily available to this woman for her child support purposes. But what you have to look into even more in detail, and we've talked about this on other shows, is if him and his new wife are involved in a business together and he's diverting his income to his new wife, that might be something that you need a forensic accountant and a good attorney to look at to see if this is actually his income and he's trying to avoid paying support.
And that's a very common issue. It happens many times once somebody files. People violate the ATROs that we've talked about, the automatic temporary restraining orders. They start putting money in, their mom's account. They move money to a family member. They try to do some sketchy things, but that's where you immediately hire the attorney, figure out what the income is. You can subpoena applications, car leases. I use applications, for apartments or for houses, mortgage documents, car applications. I use those very often to see what they're putting as their income, because the court does have the ability to use that number if there's no better evidence of a different income.
Yeah, I agree with all of what Kristen and Carrie said. And, just to add, when you're talking about a child support or a spousal support order, a lot of times when people are saying, hey, I think my ex is hiding money, or my ex is hiding money, what do I do? Those are situations where you really want to call an attorney to really figure out what your next and possible steps are, because going into court and just saying, I know he's lying, is very unlikely to get you far.
It'll just get you a new court date 3 months out.
Yeah, and that's the best case scenario, because if you're in court and you can't show that there is any reasonable income coming, and you don't have the discovery process, or you haven't utilized the discovery process, then you could be in a situation where the court is making an order based on the evidence that it has, even if that evidence doesn't show the income. So you want to be careful not going to court just to have a court make an order that's somewhat inaccurate, probably based on fraud, but if you can't prove it, you're out of luck.
Right, and that often happens, that clients come to me and say, well, I know he's not earning whatever he says he's earning, but we have no way to prove what he's actually earning. It's not enough to just say, no, he's not earning that. You have to take it that step further to actually show to the court what they're earning.
Yeah, and if you can't, the judge is likely just to impute minimum wage, and that person could be making $10,000 a month. So do not waste your time or your energy by just going into the court, because the judges are not going to buy the, buy the representation that they're making $10,000 a month with nothing to support it. It actually frustrates the court. They get irritated with the waste of the judicial resources and the time. So make sure, belt and suspenders, make sure you have your evidence, hire the right people. And that's what I would do.
And one of the things to remember is in most counties in California that you have the same judge throughout your case. So if you come in now and don't have the evidence, and then you get it in 3 months or 6 months and come back, you might have frustrated the judge so much the last time that they hold it against you. So that's why you want to have a good attorney that helps you gather that information and make sure that they have the information before you file and go into court.
Yeah, Dane told me one thing, I think it was my first court appearance, and he said it is a lot less expensive for a client to do it the right way the first time than to try to undo it. So if you go in and you say, I know he's making this much money, but I can't prove it, and the judge gives a very minimal, if any, order at all for support, now you have to hire an attorney to undo what just happened and to try to convince the court that you just didn't have the actual documents. And so it's far more resourceful and less expensive to do it the right way the first time.
Absolutely.
All right, Sam, I have a question for you, and then I'm going to ask Carrie the same one.
And you're asking me first.
All right.
Okay.
Would you date yourself?
Would I date myself? It depends on the day of the week. Sometimes I think I'm quite dateable, right? I think I like to call myself charming.
Perfect
and
10.
At times funny, and then other times I'm like, wow, that girl needs a nap. So I think my answer is it depends on the day.
I would never date myself. I'd be like, she's OCD, possible ADHD, like she's all over the place, she's way too serious. I would not date myself.
What about you, Carrie?
Well, that's a hard one for me to answer because I've been married 30 years at this point. So it's like
You don't want
I haven't dated
You can't
anybody.
cheat on your husband with yourself.
So I often say I have an amazing husband and I'm very lucky, and I got the better end of the deal. So I don't know that I would date or marry myself, but I got a good one and got lucky.
All right, that's a good one. I got another one.
I have one too. If you.
All right, you go, Carrie.
All right, I have one. Sam.
Oh,
Well, we'll ask Kristen too. Have no fear.
okay.
Are you where you want to be in life right now?
Wow, that's loaded. Am I where I want to be? I don't know that I'm where I want to be because I think I'm a hope girl. I'm always looking at the future. And so I'm always looking at where I want to be. And so I'm not there now, but I'm happy where I'm at. So I think that those are two different things.
You're on the right path.
Yeah, I'm on the right path.
You're happy with the path.
I'm
you're
on that road going where I want to go because, I mean, for me, hope is everything. It really is. And so I am often daydreaming about different or new ideas. Kristen's one of the most imaginative people I know. And it's fun to consider that and to be able to do things presently that could bring you to that future. So I'm a big proponent of that. I think if I was exactly where I want to be now, then I'd probably be bored of it quickly because it's all about the chase.
Yep. I think my answer is very similar. I said, I don't know that I'm exactly where I want to be, but I'm on the right path and I am content and blessed with where I'm at. But there's so much more I want to do.
Yeah, I think that's a part of life that you always have to be working towards the next goal. So I might not be there yet in every aspect of my life, but I'm working towards it.
And I think you're always going to have something that, I think that's when you stop living, is when there's not something that you're chasing or you're dreaming. I wake up in the middle of the night with ideas for Custody Queens and how we can continue to educate and provide resources for the general public as a whole and just change the entire outlook on divorce, just completely change it. And that's something that we're on a mission to do, is make it something that's common, that people don't judge you for, and it's really just, check that box, moving on to the next phase. And I think when we get there, then I can answer that question again and say, I think I'm perfectly happy with where I'm at. But we're on the right path.
And there was a day where I wanted to be here.
Exactly.
Right?
You always think back when you're in law school, like, I want to be a lawyer, I want to pass the bar, then I want to be, a litigator, and then I want to be a mom, I want to be a wife. How do I keep the house clean? All of those things. And I think if that's life, you have to continue to want more.
And I think this is something that our clients ask themselves all the time. Am I where I want to be? And it's a process to get to the next step. And if they're not happy in a relationship, separating and then figuring out a custody plan and figuring out what to do with the next steps in their life.
Yeah,
That's
and just
a great point.
Trusting the process and trusting your circle and trusting the people that you've hired to get you to where you want to be. All right, Sam, why do you think we are in each other's lives?
Oh, that's a happy question. I think we're in each other's lives for a reason. I mean, Kristen and if you followed the show or you've watched the show, you know that Kristen and I are both ex-Division I soccer players, and we will talk about it any chance that you'll let us. But I think it's for a reason. I mean, I think that we work well together, but we've kind of grown up in the law together, and a lot of the way I think and practice law is from your mentorship, and I appreciate that, and us just sort of being able to go back and forth and build this with the help of everyone else and the help of Carrie it's been an extraordinary experience. I can't imagine it going any other way than it has, and I'm very lucky and grateful for that. But it is also very funny that I got this job from Kristen because I played soccer after I'm pretty sure I applied on like Craigslist.
I think she did. And I was like, who the heck is advertising on Craigslist?
Yeah, I think I really did find this job on Craigslist. Probably. I'm not sure that we have a job posting on Craigslist anymore, but if you want to give us a call, Kristen, I think, has an email that we can give out for.
You can email me at kristen@custodyqueens.com. You can always send your resumes. We are always hiring and growing the team, both at Custody Queens and Holstrom Block and Park. So, Sam, I feel the same way. I think that everything happens for a reason. I think that God put you in my life so that you could keep me sane when I'm falling and I'm crying and I'm struggling. And I think that we balance each other out. When you're struggling, I'm Superman, and vice versa. And, Carrie, we've been so blessed to have Carrie on this journey with us, and Dane. And kind of just as I've grown up, it's like Dane always says, value the people around you. And, enjoy the ride together, because what would this be if I didn't have people doing it with me? It wouldn't be nearly as fun for Sam to throw me the mic and say, yep, and leave me hanging on a question on air. So the good, the bad, the ugly, I think that you were put in my life for an exact reason. And I think that Carrie is on this journey with us because we need to do this together as women.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times being in the right place at the right time ends you up on the right path. I mean, the whole connection between Dane and I happened because I was upset about something at court, ran into an attorney that is part of our firm now that used to work for me at my old firm, and went to Dane and said, you need to talk to this woman, Carrie Block. Met him on a Saturday, and within 4 hours knew that this was a partnership that was meant to be. Because you meet people and you just know, and in turn met the two of you and realized this was something and a place I wanted to be in my life too.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We are blessed to have such great people around us, not just attorneys, our intake department. I love that one of my intake consultants, she's getting married and she's been with me for about 5 years now, and her bridesmaids are my other employees. So that shows me that we are creating a village of trust and love and respect, and that we're all going to have good days and we're all going to have bad days, but we got to stick by it, through each other. And that's what makes us so different than so many law firms. People call and well, I called this person and they were this much, and you guys are more expensive. You're getting an experience with us. You are not getting someone who's going to pass you off to a one-year attorney, not know your name at court, not be prepared. You are getting a village behind you, and that is something that you can't even put a price tag on, in my opinion. So if you are listening and you are even thinking about going through this process, make sure you call us at 1-800-419-7772. That is 1-800-419-7772. All right, I have one last question before we have to wrap it up. And it's kind of a good one. It's kind of goes dark a little bit.
Uh-oh.
All right, Carrie, you're first.
Oh, I was like,
I'm
here
first.
we go, Sam.
Is there anything that you consider unforgivable?
Sorry.
I know, it kind of hits you in the gut there.
It does. I think most things in life are forgivable. I mean, obviously, like murder, things like that, unforgivable. Like, I just don't understand that. But if there's self-defense involved or something, so I don't know that there's anything that you can definitively say, because everything in life, there might be reasons behind it. There might be situations that I wouldn't understand. I mean, I told my husband a long time ago, 30 years of marriage, that, look, if you don't want to be with me, then just tell me. And after 30 years, we realized we're both not going anywhere. But I don't think that there is much that he could do, because I know him so well at this point that I don't see things as unforgivable, because it's just growing pains and growing up.
I agree. I mean, I've been burned by employees, best friends. I mean, I'm one of those people that I will come back and still help you. I've been treated very poorly. I've been betrayed. And I've always forgived. And people have always asked me, why are you so forgiving? I said, because it takes more energy for me to hate that person and to be angry than it is to just maybe understand where they were coming from. I think the one thing that I couldn't ever forgive is if something was done to one of my kids. That is kind of the number one, if you have an issue with my child, you come to me. But if something was done, even, someone that I knew, I mean, we see so much in divorce cases, and unfortunately a lot of things happen to children, and if that is one thing that would be completely off limits for me.
You're correct. I didn't think of that, but I would agree completely.
What about me? You guys are
What
both
about you,
looking at me.
Sam?
I don't know. I would say I think forgiveness is it's about as unique as a thumbprint. And just stay with me here for a second. I think that each person has it over each subject over a period of time. And I know this is kind of philosophical, but it's for you. It's for you to have, to hold, to refuse to give. And I think oftentimes as humans, we believe that, we believe in the good in people, right? And so forgiveness is a really great thing to give to somebody else for yourself, to clear your own mind, to move on your own path. But I feel very deeply that it's for you. So it's not about like saying sorry to someone. I think my dad told me this when I was young. He's like, you never say sorry waiting for someone to say back to you, it's okay. Because then you're just saying sorry for yourself. You say sorry knowing that it could and should be one-sided, potentially. And I think that was a really valuable lesson that he taught me, because I just think it's a very personal thing. So, just like kind of Carrie was saying, what about murder, or I don't know, or what about kids? Like, yeah, there's plenty of acts out there that are, evil and probably unforgivable, but it's just for you.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And when I'm saying you forgive, it doesn't mean you have to go back to that relationship that you had.
Right.
It's setting up boundaries, but I've been burned by so many friends over the years that I can forgive and see them as a human and be empathetic to where they were at when they did that, but also have safe boundaries. And I don't just forgive you and we go back to that relationship.
Forgiveness isn't amnesia,
Yeah,
right? It's going to start over.
I forgive you, but clearly our relationship's a little different.
Right.
My life has gone on a different path.
Right.
All right. I think that is about it for today's show. And this was actually really fun. I love the conversation ones. I love your guys' questions, your emails. Please keep them coming. Please follow us on Instagram, Custody Queens on Air and Custody Queens. We have a lot of good information on there, and just, tips for the day where you wake up and you just feel good about life and where you're at. So make sure you're following us. I am Custody Queen Kristen. Sam is Samantha McBride, and Carrie is
Block Mama.
So make sure you are following us, and we will see everyone next Saturday at 8:30 a.m. on Go Country. And remember, let love rule.